Hi, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe. Uh, the reason why I have it on here on Cynthia G, I just had an epiphany. I thought I better hurry up and post the video before I forget and lose my train of thought. But I just had an epiphany. People were talking about. This is not about this video is not about this video or any other video that she's doing. I was marinating on how black men, a good portion of black men, were a huge supporter of Kevin Samuels because of two reasons. He held black women accountable and he spoke the truth, which he didn't speak the truth about everything, for the record. But according to a lot of black men and some black women that supported him, but right now we ain't talking about the black women that supported him. We're talking about the black men that were huge supporters of his channel. We're talking about the black men. There was two reasons, and the two reasons were he held black women accountable and he spoke the truth. They didn't care if he was disrespecting black women and he was bashing black women. In the process of him doing that, just as long as he spoke the truth. Okay, this is what my epiphany was. Cynthia G does the exact same thing. She does the exact same thing that Kevin Samuels does. She does the exact same thing. Literally does the same thing. She holds black men accountable and she speaks the truth. As a matter of fact, she speaks more. She comes with more truths than Kevin Samuels could have ever came up with. Because she comes with the receipts. She I have to give it to her. I have to give her credit. I don't agree with everything she says, but I have to give her credit where credit is due. She does her homework. She really does her research. This particular video, she's talking about the Mullen report. She literally comes with the receipts, and she shows you. She shows you to back up her points that she's making. She shows you. Now, this is what my thought was. These black men seem to be a big advocate for holding people accountable and for people speaking the truth. They, isn't that the huge reason why they loved Kevin Samuel so much and they supported him so much? Because he held black women accountable and he spoke the truth. Well, Cynthia G holds black men accountable and she speaks the truth. And when black men calls her channel, she shuts them down. Isn't that what Kevin Samuels did? She's literally doing the exact same thing, but black men hate Cynthia G. They can't stand her. They say that she bashes black men. They say that she bashes black men. But isn't she in fact doing the same thing? She holds black men accountable. And she speaks the truth. And she also comes with way more receipts than Kevin Samuels could ever come up with. Okay. I got to give her that. Not that I'm a huge supporter of hers, but I got to give her that. I got to give credit where credit is due. The girl does, the lady does her research. She comes with the receipts. And it does, in fact, hold black men accountable. So well, my question is, if black men are such a huge fan, they seem to be huge advocates of people holding people accountable and speaking the truth, then why do they have such a huge problem with Cynthia G? Why do they have such a huge problem? It was just an epiphany. That's just something I was marinating on. I said, dang, I should have made that point in my other video. But that's a good question. That is a good question. If you're such a big advocate of holding people of someone holding people accountable and speaking the truth, then why do black men have such a huge problem with Cynthia G? She's literally doing the exact same thing that Kevin Samuels was doing. She does bash in the process. She bashes black men in the process. Okay. Just like Kevin Samuels bashed black women in the process. Okay. She literally is doing the same thing. But black men have such a huge disdain for her. That's a good question. But I thought you guys was a big advocate of people being held accountable and speaking the truth. That's what Cynthia G's doing. She's holding black men accountable and she's speaking the truth. And she comes with big time receipts. You guys should be huge fans of her channel. You guys should love her just like you love Kevin Samuels. Cause isn't that what you stand on? You don't you like people being held accountable and the truth being spoken about people? If that's what you're standing on and if that's what your requirements are and that's what you believe with all your heart, then you should love Cynthia G because she does in fact hold black men accountable. And she speaks the truth. And she has the receipts to back up just about everything she says. But black men have such a huge disdain for her. They say she's bitter. She bashes black men. They tried to get her banned from YouTube. I just think that's interesting. I really think that's interesting. See, I get it. Only when it's directed towards black women, you are a big fan of it. You're a big fan of black women being held accountable and the truth to be spoken on black women. You're a huge fan. You're all in. But when it's directed towards black men, you have a huge problem with it. When that same theory is directed towards black men, y'all got a huge problem with it. The only time you are a huge fan of it and a huge supporter of that is when it's directed towards black women. That speaks volumes. But when it's directed towards black men, y'all don't want to hear it. See, because literally Cynthia G literally does the same thing. She literally does. But she speaks more truth than what Kevin Samuels could have ever spoken. And she comes with way more receipts. And she does hold black men accountable. But she does bash in the process. That's the same thing that Kevin Samuels did. It's the exact same thing that he did. But there was some black men that had a problem with it, but a huge percentage of black men, well, he had over 1 million subscribers. Cynthia G, if that theory is, if according to that theory, you guys are a big supporter of people being held accountable and people speaking the truth, well, Cynthia G should have over 1 million subscribers then be in that case. Y'all should love her because she is holding black men accountable and she's speaking the truth. Only when it's directed towards black women is when you're a heavy supporter. But when it's directed towards black men, you have a problem with it. Y'all don't want to hear the truth when it's directed towards you. When someone holds black men accountable, it's a problem with it. Oh, she's bitter. Mm-hmm. She's bitter. A black man hurt her, amongst other things that I will not repeat here. See, when it's directed, when women are holding black men accountable, they got a problem with it. When someone's holding black women accountable and speaking the so-called truth, y'all all in 100%. You're a huge advocate. Isn't that something? I really thought that was interesting. That's the epiphany that I had. I said, I better post it before I lose my train of thought. Isn't that something? That gives you something to go ahead and let that sink in. Let that sink in. Black men don't like a good portion. Those same black men that support Kevin Samuels probably can't stand Cynthia G, because when the accountability and the truth facts are directed towards them, they have an issue with it. But they love it when it's directed towards black women. Let that sink in. All right, hit that subscribe button. I'm out.